the burning and the jails. So we got wicks. We got wick. We need wick material, which is this, and we need various burnables, things that can cause burning. I got several items here, and maybe I can just I don't know, rotate. I rotate this over so that we can have all the proper stuff ready to go. Okay, tighten, and so I got a pencil that's very valuable in jail. They're willing to pay money for it. Let's see. I'll tell you. I think one guy got a soup for a pencil, which was very low. But the guy that sold it was kind of scared of the guy that was buying it. But you use a pencil if there's a microwave. You can start fires that way, or the remote control batteries. Okay, or you can buy batteries in commissary, so that's an option too. But they definitely go through batteries kind of fast with the remote control, which can get the inmates in trouble. You need something that's gonna be that can connect the batteries together good. So I've got my chocolates. I had to uncover my chocolates for that. They don't sell chocolate like this in the jails. But the preferred thing is to break a blade, which, I mean, the razors only have one blade in jail anyway, but they would break the blade out to create the metal piece, and they kind of need two blades because one's for the top of the battery and then another's for the bottom of the battery. So they'll start the fires with the batteries, and the batteries have to be opposite. But yeah, I seen one guy how he did it. I've never practiced the busting of a blade out of a razor before. I'm not willing to do it with this, but I saw he was smacking it against the floor in a swift motion to crack the head and then get the blade out. I seen one guy, some sex offender, he cut himself really badly on his hand, and I suspect that he was trying to break a blade out of a razor because he was a big dope head. He loved his dope. So you got to be careful about it because you can cut yourself trying to get these. Oh, we got a message. Hold on. What is no access to batteries or microwaves in my jail? You're on lockdown, man. Razors are only given 15 minutes once a week. Oh, wow, we're just giving the razors to keep. And then we have to turn in the old razor for a new razor, but that doesn't happen quite exactly how they want. Yeah, you're on lockdown for sure. We weren't on lockdown like that. That's crazy. So yeah, we had for a while we didn't have a microwave. But yeah, let's say that I broke off the blade of a razor, two razors, and I'll tell you what, I I borrowed a razor to somebody and I asked for it back. And this guy, let's see, he said he'd give it back, but he's a dope head. So I never got it back. He said, and I asked for it back, and he said he lost it just like that. And that was in the tough dorm. So they were moving a lot of these guys, these hoodlums, out of the tough dorm L4. And I met him early on in my stay in that dorm. That was the last dorm I was moved to, and I felt that established our relationship after that. I didn't trust him. He later tried to trade something with me, and I'm like, hey, you didn't even give me back my razor. I don't trust you anymore. He wasn't too happy about me, but he was a smaller guy anyway, so I didn't see him as a threat. Let's see, TV was controlled by the officers. Everyone in the entire jail got the same channel. Yeah, we got to change channels. We got access. I never got access to the remotes, but all the non-whites did, mostly, unless the white was crazy like Red. That red-haired guy was pretty wild. He understood the culture better than me. He could intermix with them better, mix it up with them better than me, and smoke dope with the best of them. So yeah, I was in the Kansas jail, and they didn't let us have access to the TV remote or anything. Every hour we had to ask the guard to change a channel, and there's 4 dorms, but only 3 dorms were filled. So out of the filled dorms, they could choose once an hour what channel they wanted. So yeah, every jail's got their own policy. Every jail's got a curfew at night, but how they work the TVs is, yeah, we watched a lot of BET. We watched a lot of Wild and Out. And that was just the inmates having control. They didn't care about the news. So to start that fire, where do I begin? Okay, so I got some material here. This would be really valuable stuff. And I want to also point out, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but let's say my tablet here was a tablet at the jail, and it's a red, entirely covered in a red, thick plastic red case. On the back of the tablet, okay, say it's like this, on the back would be a lot of scratches from cutting the dope into small slivers. Let's say this is dope. Do I even have, I don't even have a razor. They would use the shaving blade to cut little tiny slivers off of their dope. It'd have to be like just super small slivers, and I don't want to cut my tablet. But it'd just be like just careful cutting of that dope, just following carefully along, and then you know, just cutting off a little section of that little sliver for about 3 or 4 pieces of these little slivers, and then they would put 3 or 4 pieces in like about the length of this for smoking. Roll it up in like a Bible page or a regular page, whatever paper they could find. Smoke that up. They would have it ready, but they need to also have that fire ready, and they didn't have access to lighters. Only one time for like 3 days they had access to a lighter. Okay, and a pretty good one, better than this one. So they didn't even need to go through the process of using the batteries, or actually, yeah, there was a microwave. I think there was no microwave. So then, yeah, the pencil and all that. In the first dorm, they relied more on starting fires with a pencil and paper, because we had a microwave. Second dorm I went to, there was no microwave, so then it was mostly reliant on batteries. And one inmate had like a sock full of batteries. He accumulated so many, the guards eventually took that sock. That was alarming, though. He was like building up a weapon with used batteries, which could go pretty quickly when you're starting fires with them. So what I want to do, let's start out making a little fire, a little wick at the fire. So we would get toilet paper once a week. Every Saturday they'd hand out another roll of toilet paper. Okay, and then you know, the inmates would save it so they could make wicks out of them, and then they'd borrow or steal toilet paper from other people. Now, how they make wicks is they gotta twist it quite a bit. Some guys, you know, some guys would just kind of twist it like this, okay. And then I saw one guy made a really pretty thick wick. He would fold it in half. So I'll get some toilet paper here. Oh, some people are saying things. Let's see, made a gush. Ew. Okay. Paper LSD. Yeah, it's all in paper now, pretty much. Unless this is jail how to. This isn't even prison. This is just simple jail. They're getting away with a lot in jail. Okay. The in between. People sitting in not even like charged, people not even convicted, sitting in jail, getting away with this. I think one guy would pull out a bunch of toilet paper, and then they're constantly making these wicks. I might not be very good at it. I never made a single wick in jail. I never messed around with that. I was totally against it. So I think this is kind of how you want to tighten it all up. Really good. And then yeah, you twist away, make it nice and long. You don't want it to unravel, so that's why you do it really tight. I think I've seen some slather their wicks in petroleum jelly, but either way, you got to make it nice and tight. It can't come undone, or that's a spot. So I guess I've never done this, so I don't know if I'll break it. It feels like I might break it. They might fold it over a couple more times, because the ones that the guy I seen make, he was doing it. He had thicker wicks than this. Maybe it has to be tight. That's the thing. It all has to be tight. So you could probably do about four rollovers and then twist after that. I only did it twice. It kind of holds together. You kind of don't want to make them too long, because if the guards come to and see them, then the guards will take them from you. All right. So I seen one guy, he put it in his mouth. Okay. So yeah, you have it stick out your mouth, and then, all right, we're gonna pretend that we broke the razor blades. We broke one off. We got two razor blades. We stole them, or we trade them for them. We don't ever buy them at the commissary. And then we broke one in half. Okay, we have a full blade and we have one in half. All right, so let's say this is the full blade, and then this is the half. All right, I want to start a fire. I am raging for some dope right now. So let's get this party started. So I take my batteries, and they have to be opposite. Okay, set them down on there. Now this is a tricky part. All right, I got my batteries. I want to start my wick up. Okay, I want to get a nice burn on this wick. So I gotta be careful. I don't know if I can see that. But I start with this right here, and then this okay. So I want to hold them good. Okay. All right. I'm gonna start the fire. Hmm? Oh, oh, oh. All right, well, it smoked a little bit. I felt a little pain in my finger. So I don't know how that guy overcame that. Probably has a callus from starting so many fires. So I'm starting a fire, but I guess I need some cushion here. So I'll start this again. Well, start a fire using a wick. Try not to burn myself. Okay. Alright, what I want to do, I'm going to hold this end on here already on there, so I don't burn myself. Alright, so that's touching. It produces an enormous amount of heat, enough to start sparks. I saw sparks flying every time. Okay, and then this other side, you kind of want them. Well, let me just get this. Oh, I can go there. All right. Oh, oh. He fumbled like this as well. That sounds good. See, they're more diligent about it because they're thinking that they're getting dope as a reward. They'll be smoking dope when they get it set up. For me, I really don't care about starting this kind of fire. Oh, it's warm. It's warming up a little bit. The guy would hold it though with his bare fingers. This might not be quite the razor blade quality fire, but he would want to connect two metal ends together. Oop. Oh man. Okay. See, I'm smoking the metal, but I'm not quite hitting the wick. Well, you get the idea, I'm sure, right? You get the idea. I'm getting a little nauseous. Well, the pencil lead would only work better if I had a microwave to put it into. But yeah, this chocolate tinfoil has a little bit of a smell to it. It's a little bit of an effect. I'll set these batteries aside. That's how they were doing it. They were successful doing it. Okay, they knew how to be motivated for that. I had a lighter. Oh, there it is. This is another one. So let's say they did it. They got it. They got their wick. Okay, they got it going. Now it's just got to smolder. Okay. I smelt this stuff a lot, and they'd make a little bit of a hook and just let it sit on their bed, let it sit at the toilets, let it sit at the kiosk. It would just smolder. Okay, that's the wick. All right, they didn't have the convenience of starting it with the lighter like this. Some guys would be very cautious walking around the dorm with this thing smoking away. They'd walk around cupping it so that to prevent the guards from seeing it. One inmate actually put the wick down his pants. Okay, he put the wick down his pants and just held it there as he was talking to a guard. Smoke rising from his pants while the guard was looking straight at him, talking to him, and nothing. I was like amazed that the guard didn't say a thing. But yeah, this is as smoky as it gets. It's extremely smoky. And they have one or two going all day in that dorm. I would have to be breathing. If I wanted to go to the bathroom, this would be right in front of me as I'm trying to use the bathroom. I'm trying to breathe as I'm going to the bathroom, or trying to use a kiosk. They would sit there they would have one sitting on the kiosk. They would hide it in all kinds of places. This would be below my bed. They would just have one burning all night below my bed, and I just have to breathe it in, and I couldn't. It would wake me up. I'd wake up with a racing heart. This type of stuff would cause a racing heart for me, and problems like that. All right, it's getting a little smoky in here, so I'm gonna stop this. Try to air out the van. And they do that, no problems at this jail. And it's incredible what they get away with. And the ventilation wasn't good enough to clear out the smoke. So I was just getting bombarded with smoke, and I would sneeze, and when I go outside, I would let it all out, because they're telling me that I'm spreading disease in the dorm, but outside they can't. Well, one guy did yell at me for sneezing and coughing and wiping my nose outside. He was mad at me for doing it outside, but I was so far away that they didn't really, there's nothing that they could do. There's one guy at the last dorm, L4, who would just try to get me in trouble. He tried to get other people in trouble. It wasn't just me. He would just yell and scream about something, thinking that other people stole from him or whatever, and he'd just alert the whole dorm about it. It's crazy. But yeah, when we had microwaves, I would watch a lot of guys I thought that was interesting. They'd just sit there and make this mark, okay, on the paper, and use a ton of it, just one spot, getting enough on there on the paper, just scratching away, putting all the lead they can there, and then they take it to the microwave, and this is the spot that just starts smoking within a matter of like 10 or 15 seconds. This is worth money to the dope heads. Okay, one guy sold his pencil. Some guy from Texas, some white guy from Texas. He said the pencil is worth a lot of money, but he undersold himself. But he could. I suggested maybe he could have sold the paper. Pre-mark the paper for anybody that wants it, and he could keep his pencil that way, and maybe make more money just selling the individual papers. So that could have been a business thing. And the pencils were allowed in jail, so you're not really smuggling in a pencil. So you get yourself some paper and a pencil, and you got a business in jail with the dope heads, because there's a lot of dope heads. And then sell them for, I don't know, maybe a soup every 10 sheets, if there's a microwave. So the pencil only works if there's a microwave. Otherwise, all you got are the batteries or the microwave. Woo! Oh, I see. Okay. And yeah, they're both. You know, the only ways that the dope heads can get their dope inside them is through smoke. And that means everybody's got to get it inside them. I'm a little dizzy from breathing in that toilet paper. My lungs are still probably coated from toilet paper, from burnt toilet paper. So there was a bad problem at this jail, and all the dorms, all 4 dorms. Um, you know, and you can't you can't quite see it exactly which dorms it is. I could kind of show, well, maybe not. I thought I was going to get connected here, but I can find the jail, and they pack us in. They pack what, 130. It was always overfilled. 32 every dorm. Oh, I'm not even going to connect. Oh, there I'm connecting. Okay. All right. Then I'll go to the jail and just kind of take a peek at where I moved around a little bit. And I mean, these are isolated dorms right about there. No? There, because it's near the airport. Okay. All right, and it's rendering. Oh, I got to give it time to render. See if I can spin it around. Okay, so I was in this jail, and this is like the new section, this whiter roof. There were 32 dorm 1 or L1, 32 people. They're all 32. All dorms had 32 people. L1, L2, the hole in the center, L3, L4, 32 people times 4, because it was always packed. So 30, 60, 90, 120, about 130 plus people in the hole. Probably add another 15. Just like 150. Louisiana. This is the Louisiana side. This bigger side is for Texas. But the Louisiana, we're stuck in here, and each dorm just filled with smoke. And even the hole in the center, some inmates said that they got to smoke more in the hole. Okay, because they do wall calls in between the dorms. They could yell through the wall and communicate and perform trades. So L1 would communicate with L2, and then L2 would have to communicate with the hole, and then the hole would communicate with L3, and L3 would communicate with L4, conducting all these trades through Cash App, and then what's been smuggled in, lighters and all kinds of stuff. And then we every so often we'd be let out into the yard. That's to get some fresh air, but that was rare. We were more at the mercy of breathing in the smoke all day, every day, and I got a rare chance to go outside. I would use this pull-up bar over here. That's a pull-up bar. So it's kind of you know, a dear thing to me. I'd be able to walk over to this little pull-up bar and do some pull-ups. I do 10 at a time, and then scale down from there. So yeah, that's the dorm situation. Yeah, the smoke. One guy, I complained early on about the smoke to one guy, just, you know, another dope head, and he said it'd be like, you know, it was the spirits. It was good. It was creating good spirits or warding away the bad spirits by putting out toilet paper smoke into the air. And he was allowed himself to be addicted. He wasn't thrown in jail for the for any dope smoking. He didn't get caught with that. A lot of those guys didn't, and it surprises me that a lot of guys who got caught for something else, like stealing, trespassing, a sexual offense, they would tell the courts that they have a drug addiction problem, and then ask for recovery in some way with that. You know, totally unrelated. Well, pretty much unrelated to the actual charge. They're like they're pretty much saying that they're guilty of the charge. Plus, they got a drug addiction, and they're looking for help that way. Try to get leniency. It's almost like claiming insanity in a way, but insanity with a drug addiction. Let's see. Your local jail doesn't have yard time. Still have COVID precautions. Wow, you should be fighting against that. That's we're long past COVID. They took fruit away too after people started trying to ferment it for New Year's celebrations. Pretty strict. We never had fruit in the first place ourselves. Applesauce, that's about as, and it's just enough applesauce to get an upset stomach too, which it doesn't take much for me at least. So society loves its drug addicts. Yeah, it's like in jail, the sober people had to learn how to deal with drug addiction, and get the sober people were being corrected to get used to the dope heads, as opposed to the other way around. Instead of trying to sober up the dope heads and restrict their access to dope, they increase it. So you get more access to dope in jail, and the sober people have to get used to it. So I had to get used to it, which I never really did. I dealt with it a lot, and I didn't like it. I had to get used to it, as in like, shut up, don't tell the dope heads to stop smoking. And the dope heads would try to peer pressure me into smoking, and the guards are they're just they're just there, ineffective. I'd say, the whole theme of the Louisiana system is intentional, like a negligence, deliberate indifference is how judges want to frame it now. But that deliberate indifference is in between intentional and deliberate, or deliberate indifference, intentional and negligence. Deliberate would be kind of like, yeah, between that. The judges are making up new words just to try to confuse the people and create different definitions. But yeah, I would watch these dope heads really enjoying their dope, laughing for like 10 or 15 minutes upon smoking it. They just laugh and be very joyful, and then it would die down, and then they would, some of them would go to sleep or something, or they go watch TV. It would create this sense of excitement in them for a short period of time, 15, 20 minutes tops, every time they smoke it. So some would try to get that high over and over again all day. And yeah, that's the people who like had the money. And I swear, some of them inmates probably had parents who had some money in some way. I don't believe, I'm not, you can't convince me that any of these inmates' parents were very educated. Okay, I think they were getting money in other ways, to pay for the habits, these bad habits. Let's see, the Southern Bible Belts, the people there can be ignorant. Yeah, well, they want to suppress a lot of the truth. Like, I'm being yelled at for talking about black people in jail and how it's only 15% white people, but it's 50% in the community. But the AI, I tell the AI just use black people because they're in the majority in that jail. But oh, that's so wrong. but it wouldn't look right if you actually looked at the looked at the, you know, art. If you looked at the pictures, it wouldn't look right if it was just all white people. That's for sure. It's only 15%, pretty much the whole time I was there, 8 months. In every dorm, they kept it. It was like that was one of the standards for classification. Are they white? All right, what's the percentage in that dorm? All right, they shot for 15%. Uh, but yeah, these inmates, they would overdo it, overdose, and puke. Some have puked all over the floor. Some just stand like zombies. Some would just sit and just pass out. All right, they would lean back. Okay, if they were on the if they were on their bed, some would just be like this for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They'd just be so passed out, zonked out after smoking this dope. It was really a strong thing, and it's kind of new too. It's kind of a new dope. Just before COVID, it was like when COVID hit, I think it might have taken off, this paper dope, having access to this kind of substance. Like there was a breakthrough in some way on how they could make it look like regular paper, but it's not. And I guess the guards need a special light, a blue light, K2. Okay. Um, if it's got cannabinoids in it, I suppose. If it's got the, you know, the stuff that like maybe you could buy at the store or something. I don't know, but they found a way to soak it and look like it could be just regular trash. There's no other color but white to it. So, do you see any paper substances that's you know that are strong enough where you can only take tiny slivers of it at a time, or you overdose and you puke, and then yeah, you just, a lot of guys couldn't make it to the toilet fast enough to puke, and they just puke on the floor. A lot of guys would just be stopped in their tracks after smoking it, and just have to lay down. They'd slowly just lay back on a bed and just be sleeping in really uncomfortable positions. I know that one guy got busted for smuggling ketamine into the dorm, and yeah, he was big into dope. It's like he created more problems. He said he had problems in jail. Some guy was complaining about his own problems, but he said he had his problems, which he created. I think he was in for like maybe attempted murder, but then he somehow got charged with smuggling some stuff in. But they are just, you know, it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't have to create so much smoke. You know, whatever, get high. I mean, their likelihood of fighting goes up exponentially when the drugs flow freely in jail. Okay, I believe that, yeah, there was more fighting that happens out of misunderstandings than because of being high and all of that, and just wanting to get it, fighting for it and stuff. Let's see, vitamin. Well, they don't. I just call it paper dope. It's just paper dope. It could look like trash on the bottom of your shoe. I had this one inmate who demanded I show him the bottom of my shoe. Okay, like I walked around the dorm for a little exercise, and not long, just because it's about dodging other inmates more than a nice walk. But he asked me to show him the bottom of my shoe, both my shoes, because he was looking for that tiny sliver of dope he thinks he lost. I mean, I would see some inmates who are so into this smoking the dope and stuff that they would look for ash. They would look through ashes on the floor, look under the beds, look all around. At least, yeah, one guy would do that. Several guys would do that. They would look for little slivers of paper, and it seemed like they could tell. They could tell the difference just by looking at it, if it's dope paper or regular paper. So there was that. And yeah, these were fighters. These two, definitely two guys that I know who scrounged for dope a lot when they ran out. They smoke it fast and then run out and then scrounge. They would just um, they would fight as well, and I was kind of scared of that. They might try to. They kind of, they interacted with me a little bit, and a couple of those times I just gave in to whatever they wanted, and yeah, try to avoid any fights because they were willing to take it all the way. So I guess that's all I really wanted to show, is just how to put together some some put the dope together. I didn't really show how to roll anything, just start the fires, just messing around with that. There's only a couple of ways that yeah, and if the batteries die, they figured out by rolling. I saw one guy, let me set this down again, who had some kind of paper rolled up, okay, rolled around. He had two batteries rolled around each other so that you'd have two batteries, and then you'd use four batteries to try to maximize the weakness of the batteries that they had, because they'd wear out the batteries pretty quick starting fires. So they'd try to make the use of four old batteries to start a fire. I've never seen a fire started with four batteries when they get that weak. It's usually just they have to be fresh batteries. I don't know how many fires they could start with it. I just watch them start those. I don't know why anyone would like ketamine. It's a horrible drug, which unfortunately I have experience with. Yeah, a lot of people like it in jail. It helps. It's just something to do. Let's see. Edit this video and make me look bad on how to how to smoke some dope. Well, that's what the experience is in jail. There's smoke all around, and it's whatever. That's how they live. That's how they continue to live. Before I was there, and they'll continue after. But I'll tell you, it's new. It's relatively new. They're making it sound like this paper dope started in 2019. So, oh yeah, all right. Well, it seems like ketamine is creating more illness by making people extra happy, smiling for 15 minutes, and then puking if they overdose. There's a lot of overdose, and then some would go into seizures. Okay, I guess that's something also to mention too. I've seen some guys have to get wheeled. I saw one guy go and get a seizure where he was just all his muscles locked up, and the nurses had to come in and check him out. Eventually he came down off his high, and he was all right after that. They'll collapse. Some will be stiff and just kind of standing in one spot as like a zombie. Some will kind of collapse to the floor. They'll be so stiff they'll just fall down like a statue onto the floor. So that's how it hits. So you kind of want to, when you smoke, you want to be sitting down, prepared to lay down. You don't want to be caught standing, because it could take you out. Yeah, there's one guy who said that if you combine fentanyl with something else, it makes you feel like Superman. So there's different mixes going on that they play with, and I just, if it wasn't so smoky in there, you know, whatever, you know, you beat yourself up. But they created so much smoke, and it caused me to have a racing heart. It just it got me off of my bed. I couldn't lay on my bed. I had to lay on the floor because of all that smoke. Yeah, there's different smells. There's a burnt rubber smell. Okay, the guards would say, "Oh, I smell burnt plastic," but I was smelling more burnt rubber. But I was smelling different varieties. Sometimes I'd smell tobacco, and I'd see tobacco. They'd smuggle in cigarettes sometimes. But that dope was like a burnt rubber smell to me. It reminded me of burning a tire or something. It's got that particular smell, and when I smell it, I'm high. I'm getting high because you know they're not absorbing all of that smoke. It's very smoky when they smoke it. It's got a strong smell. If I smell it, I'm getting high. I'm already getting a little dizzy from the toilet paper smoke, and then I'm getting high off of the burnt rubber smell, which is pretty much every day in jail. So that really hurt my defense too. It's really frustrating to be getting high and then trying to learn the law. So as a sober person, I love being sober. It's really difficult. It's just an extra torture. Jail is supposed to be the punishment. I know those judges are involved in this. I know the prosecutor's involved. He was involved in the chicken trade. That's how they get this drug trade going, was through the chicken trade, because other officers branched out with the chicken trade by selling drugs, by selling steroids out of the evidence locker room. So you know that in this chicken trade, they're likely smuggling dope paper into the jail as well. There's a chicken like processing plant across the street from the jail. I wouldn't be surprised. And there were dope heads that worked there, guys that were thrown in jail saying they worked at that Pilgrim's Hatchery. So they're how did they find shoes? They didn't. They don't find those types of shoes. So, all right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Let's see. Avoid lawyer visiting a client. Oh yeah, I heard about that. That wasn't here. That was us. Yeah. I don't think many lawyers really visited. So, yeah, you got the dope trade. Let's see, trash on the beach and woods where we fish. Couple smart ones would race ahead and bum a beer. Yeah, that's the thing too with the trustees. The trustees were a real big part of the trade. The guys that come in with the cleaning supplies and spray everything with bleach. They would smuggle it in all kinds of different ways, in the broom handle, and in their pockets. The trustees would just simply have the dope in their pockets, in their chest pocket or something, and just be like, "Here, this is from the other dorm. You paid through the Cash App. They received the money, so here's your dope drop." The drug dealers would be in one dorm, and then the dope heads would be in another dorm. But there was a mix of dope heads and drug dealers in every dorm together, so that some of the trades were happening directly. But the trustees, the barbers, the guards, just they all helped in various ways, trading books or mops. The soups. Soups are popular for eating, but apparently you could slip some dope in the soups. If you just slip, a little sliver of dope in the soup, I mean, it's not easy to see. It could look like one of the noodles, and the guards don't look very closely. That's the thing. It's deliberate indifference. It may not always been the guards being directly involved. They just didn't. They didn't really care. They didn't do a very strict inspection, because often when we had shakedowns and raids, the guards would come up with nothing. because these slivers of paper were not easy to see, and could be stuck anywhere. So yeah, there's deliberate indifference from just every level in the judicial system in Louisiana, up to the state supreme courts. I mean, look at them. The state supreme court, who do all their mental gymnastics trying to rationalize why slavery should exist, under contract law and all of that. They were they were doing it then, and they're deliberately indifferent today too. I mean, I wouldn't give them much credit for being very honorable people, in any way, in any era of the legal system's existence. Okay, they do not default to honesty. That's where I think AI really can shine. It could just create so much honesty. It would just be a revolution of honesty, just by default. Natural answers coming from the AI that really are impartial, can be impartial, programmed to be impartial. You could look at the code for it and see, if there's any breaks in impartiality. You can't do that with the personalities of the judges in Louisiana. But I say that, bringing in some transparency in the courtroom by recording the court proceedings would definitely have helped the courtroom a lot. But now it's a little too late with Louisiana. It's a little too late to worry about bringing cameras in the courtroom, because we're skipping that step. Other states have not skipped that step. They have brought cameras in the courtroom. You can record and then look back at that as a transcript, as a video transcript, rather than a written transcript. We're skipping that step. Kind of like China skipped landlines for phones and just went right to wireless phones. In Louisiana, we're going to skip the step where cameras are needed in courtrooms, and instead just bring AI in and bring the honesty that way. That'll be an interesting transition for this state. Okay, bringing AI in, it's necessary. It's very needed for a lot of things. I'll admit that I did have trouble getting it to calculate my time properly for my release. I calculate that I should have been released November 30th, but it was telling me that I should have been released in February, on the time that I was convicted. But it was having trouble giving me the credit. Maybe I could have worded something differently. So, yeah, I don't know who told me about deliberate indifference. It's not important to me, right? That's being indifferent to learning about deliberate indifference. I'm being deliberately indifferent to learning about the background about learning about deliberate indifference. Somebody cut grass at the jail. Oh yeah, there's some guys that did that. Yeah, some of them trustees, they got in trouble during a big raid when I was there, and lost their jobs, and they had to hire new people. I turned down all jobs, and there weren't many anyway, cooks and whatever else. I didn't care to get any job with them. I just wanted to get on the kiosk and read about law all I could. I don't have access to this LexisNexis anymore. That was one benefit of being in jail. They just started that in November 2024. It's fairly new. LexisNexis in the jail. They're probably laughing, and it is funny to bring that high quality legal research tool into the jail, because a lot of inmates don't read that. They don't read in general. Okay, there are very few books, and what few books they did have, they're smoking the pages up anyway, cutting the pages up to smoke. But I would read. If there were more people if the jail was full of people like me, the jail would definitely struggle a lot more. But instead, there was more people like them who accepted their situation and relished in it in a lot of ways. Didn't fight to get out. Enjoyed the time with their cousins and their friends and their brothers and their fathers and sons. All kinds of family members in there. To be I wasn't off. There was no library at this jail. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm getting a little tired of sitting.